Hey, this is Alexi Lawless. There is nobody in U.S. soccer that is more important than the Cooligans.
Yeah, baby, we're back!
Yes.
Oh, my God!
I am too stoked because these guys have been on the show so much.
Is that your rapper name, Too Stoked?
Too Stoked.
Yeah.
Gang, gang, gang. Let's
Yeah,
go.
right. We're about to go meet 2 Chainz. We're going to Atlanta. All 4 of us are going to be in Atlanta.
I am very stoked because these guys they're becoming
third time this year.
Yeah,
It's like
third
Joan
time.
Rivers on the Carson show at this point. It's great.
Yeah.
Invite them to the table.
Yeah.
They made
Open
it to the
invitation. Open invitation.
but we are happy to have him here. You want to introduce him, Alexis?
I mean, you know exactly who these guys are. They're the voice of soccer in America. We love them. If you watch Fox Sports, you know who these guys are. Ladies and gentlemen, unless you're driving, put your hands together for the one and only John Strong and Stu Holden,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Come
Welcome
on.
to the show, guys. You guys are going to be calling the MLS Cup Final this Saturday, December 8th. We're going to be there, so we're going to,
So you're going to watch us on the DVR?
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
Actually, we're
We
going
need-
to
we need the
put
ratings
cups up
point,
to the
guys.
door. We're going to put cups up to the door where you guys are. Security's like, I don't think you're allowed
I think
to do that.
you'll
This is what I'm
there's
here
going to be
for.
72,000 people there that you might have a hard time
Yeah,
hearing.
you're not
I
hearing
think,
anything,
There's
yeah.
nothing happening through cups there.
You know, you guys all watch them with the open windows. I would love to just be in the other room and just stick my head in your window, see if it throws you guys off.
We'd have security actually.
How are you feeling about this particular matchup? I know you have worked with the Timbers for a long
Once or
time.
twice.
Yeah, once or twice.
I know a little bit.
And they're playing this behemoth of a soccer team in Atlanta. So how not necessarily predictions, but how do you feel about the fact that it's happening at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, MLS Cup Final, and what does it mean for American soccer?
It's a great matchup. I think this was something where when we got to this Final Four, any of those teams would have been a good matchup, including Kansas City and the Red Bulls. The fact that the finals in Atlanta, not just the 72,000 in the stadium, that entire city is going to be on fire for this game. Not to make a Civil War reference, but the idea that Atlanta is one of the places where the soccer team matters. It really does, and that's what's cool, as opposed to other cities where we could have had this final where maybe a lot of the people are oblivious to it. So that's an exciting part of it. I think Portland as a team has played really well to get here. I don't think they're going to be intimidated by it, whether they can deal with, easy over there, what Atlanta's going to bring in this game, I think is another matter. But it's a wonderful matchup for sure.
Yeah, I mean, also talk about the Timbers coming in as far as you're talking about soccer cities and places where it matters. I mean, Portland has been one of the best examples of fan culture that this league has seen. And, maybe not in the same type of numbers as far as 72,000 in a stadium, but I just love the way that this team has grown under Savarese, and to the point where they've embraced almost an underdog role in this year's MLS Cup, and all the talk is about Atlanta and about the superstars that they have and the coach, and this is his last game before he goes to Mexico. It's almost like, hey, we're over here too, but they don't mind that talk. I think that's going to help them.
That's part of what inspires them almost, right? It's like, oh, no one's thinking about us, but we're pretty great, and wait till you see when we get there.
Yeah, but they don't play like underdogs is
No, they
the
don't.
thing. And they are tough. They are resilient, and they have some difference makers. They have stars
It's
as
weird
well.
to me that they're called underdogs at all, given that they just won an MLS Cup 3 years ago.
I know.
Yeah,
Also, they
they
have
were first
Diego
place in the
Valeri.
Western Conference a year ago. They have last year's MVP. I sort of roll my eyes sometimes. Every single team tries to be the underdog. Every single team tries to play they don't believe in us card. Even Atlanta was sort of playing that because they lost the Supporters' Shield in the final day to the Red Bulls.
Right.
And that, with a lower seed, all this type
People
of
have
stuff. The
doubted
Red
us
Bulls
for
are
the
the
last decade. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, well, it's not
that kind of stuff is like,
But
okay,
if you know as a coach that helps your
yeah,
team,
you're gonna embrace it for
you're
sure.
gonna
Yeah, yeah.
embrace it. You're gonna state it publicly, but internally you're saying, hey guys, we know we have a legitimate chance at winning this game.
yeah.
And I think one of the things about the Timbers in particular is the fan base, and that goes back a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these fans has been around for a long
Don't
time.
get John Strong started on the history.
This would be an hour-long conversation
No,
if
I mean,
you
I
want to
just
pursue
think
it. Yeah, yeah.
sometimes some of their fans who used to sit back in Section 107, you know exactly where that is, right? Some of them would have called themselves mental and barmy.
Yeah.
What do we say about? What do we say about?
Oh,
I
that
got
picture?
that in my office.
What do we say about this picture? Of
Have you seen that
John
before?
Strong?
Oh, I've seen it.
The fans heard you were coming,
Yeah.
and somebody
It's
sent
weird.
me this.
He always likes to toot his own horn. It's weird.
He's literally
Well,
doing
you're
that.
the one on the left, right?
That was back before we knew that vuvuzelas were
That's
bad.
John Strong right here.
You were the one with the
yeah.
vuvuzela?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
Vuvuzela. Yeah, that's him.
I got that vuvuzela at my first ever pro soccer game, which was the San Jose Clash against Chivas Guadalajara in Portland in the spring of '98. It was red. I painted it green, like spray painted it.
You could see the red underneath.
Yeah.
That's
And that was in 2004. That was the night that Alan Gordon, it was the Alan Gordon Chainsaw Massacre. He scored a hat trick against Milwaukee his rookie year.
all in the 96th minute, which real Alan Gordon style.
Well, the last one came, it was an overtime golden goal back then in the A-League, and he's the only player ever to saw off his own piece of the log because it was a golden goal. So he grabbed Timber Jim's chainsaw and he actually sawed his own piece of the log off in celebration of that win.
That's such an Alan Gordon move.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
he at least have clothes on when he did it?
He was shirtless.
There you go.
Typical.
You don't
Gordon.
normally when you're sawing logs, do you?
I don't even know how to react to that, actually.
I love that happened on the show.
Well, you know what? No, I'm just curious. Speaking of,
By the way, I was trying to figure out because you kept staring at your phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is so
I
interesting
was
on your
trying
phone?
to pick it up. I was
And
trying
I'm
to
like,
get
oh, okay,
somebody
gotcha. Yeah,
DM'd us that.
yeah.
So a big
Yeah.
fan of yours and a big fan of the Timbers.
part of me was
DM'd
actually,
that.
why is Alexis being incredibly unprofessional
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was
It's
for a
weird. It
purpose.
came from at Nicole Strong.
That's so strange. Yeah.
What do you feel about?
They actually came from your assistant. They said you wanted to talk
It's
about
probably,
it.
yeah.
Alan
It was on my list of
Gordon,
topics.
He announced his retirement this year,
Yes,
right?
he did,
Yes,
yeah.
he did.
How do you feel about him? Because I know this.
Not the shoe thing, right?
No.
Well,
Oh gosh.
just in general, the brave, kind of person that he is to be this wild and be this enigmatic and be crazy.
Alan Gordon's one of my all-time favorites.
Okay.
Because of, he went to Oregon State. He was drafted by the Galaxy. They weren't interested. He comes to Portland, has this incredible 2004 season, and he ended up building this career where he became this cult hero. He's actually
of a Playgirl model.
well, but also the funny thing is, all-time MLS leader in goals as a substitute, second most goals in MLS history in second half stoppage time. He actually produced in a significant way in these things. And it's fun. The other fun story from that year was that the shoes he had, he wore red shoes. They were size too small because they basically, like Nike brought it, here's a box of shoes, guys, for the A-League Timbers, and he grabbed a pair. By the end of the season, he had worn through the shoes. So he went and bought like a regular black pair of shoes that fit him, and he stopped scoring for a couple weeks. And so a collection was taken in the Timbers Army to buy him a new pair of red shoes, which he was given. And he ended up going back to scoring, and they won the regular season title.
You know when they always say like he's not wearing his shooting boots today?
Yeah, that was a literal thing.
real.
It's a real thing.
That was an
It's a
actual
real
thing.
thing.
So yeah, I'm a big Alan Gordon fan.
Well,
Okay.
long
for
term.
two people who have such history, obviously, Stu, you played in the game in MLS for a while. You've been a fan of just soccer, and especially in America, and especially Timbers back in the day. I know now you're impartial because you're calling the game. How does it feel to go? You're about to call a game in a stadium with 75,000 people.
72. Don't just add 3. They
thought
don't
they
fit
said-
that many
I
Well,
thought
people.
they said-
they might be trying to increase it. I think.
Yeah,
the
and I thought-
official. As much as the fire marshals will let them. People will be hanging from the rafters in there. I think it's also just putting in context the year, and we talked to you guys ahead of the World Cup, and that incredible experience, and now to think that after a 2018 in which we've had Champions League, World Cups, MLS, and now be capping it off with 70 to 75,000 in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think as two guys that are major fans of the leagues as well as the league, I played in it, but now as a broadcaster, I love seeing its growth and seeing the league succeed. To me, to be in that stadium on Saturday night, it's going to be another moment where I'm going to be looking around and not just personally, but I just think professionally, and what we all want soccer to do well in this country, right? And when you see these types of events happening, it's really another reminder of, hey, this game has come so far in this country, and it means a lot to so many people, and we should be proud of that fact.
All right. Now, on a more personal note, I did want to ask you, Stu, in particular. Maybe you've spoken about this.
I'm
ad
scared now.
nauseam.
I actually thought he said used too. And I'm like, when did he grow up in the Bronx?
You have a very famous brother who recently became a viral
Infamous.
Yeah.
viral sensation because he's been coined the
Plane Bay.
Plane Bay.
This was a
Yeah.
really weird couple days in Russia, by the way.
Yeah,
This was
so
in the middle of the World Cup.
these guys actually lived this with me. So
Yeah.
I woke up in Russia and I get a text from my brother saying, I think I went viral. And my first thing was go to the hospital.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
You gotta get that checked out. And no, he said, seriously, check my Twitter. And I checked that and his Instagram, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, like what is happening here? And then throughout the day it was going this, and then my phone was blowing up. I was getting texts from everyone like, hey, I saw your brother on GMA and the Today Show, and
It's
oh my
everywhere.
gosh, he fell in love on the internet. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then it was a 3-day period where he was dealing with this, and these guys were in Russian airports at 4 in the morning.
On one of our overnight connections through Domodedovo Airport, and it's like you, me, and our producer Shaw strategizing like we're UNT PR team.
Be like,
of
no,
like, how does
you
he
should not
extricate
do that.
himself from
Yes.
this? No, do not post that video.
Yeah.
Do not post this. And we're like talking as we're connecting to.
You're like a a war room
Kazan
set
or
up.
whatever. Yeah.
How do we handle
We were
this
in deep
viral?
in the whole thing. It was weird, man. It was
It is weird.
If
Yeah.
people don't know what
So
we're
wait,
talking
hold on.
about.
Your brother colluded with Russia while you were there? Is that what you're saying? Wow.
So if people don't know the scope of the story, it's basically your brother was on a flight and he was sitting next to a girl that he may have been flirting with. They were talking, they were
Yeah.
chatting it
Doesn't
out.
sound like the Holden brothers.
Yeah, no.
But then there was a couple behind them that heard the conversation and basically live tweeted the whole thing. And this took the internet
by storm. I mean, it took the world by storm. But it was crazy to see the evolution of the story because it started as this incredible romance and this romantic story and people falling in love in airplanes, and then it quickly at one point shifted to invasion of privacy
100%.
Totally,
and filming people. And that was the point where we were having this conversation with my
Whoa,
brother. Get off
out.
the plane!
Get out.
Get off the plane! Pull the ripcord!
It all started with like, oh, this is so cute, this relationship, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, they're being followed by this woman and her man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can stop it.
Yeah, it was
The
it was
lady
wild
bought Wi-Fi on the plane
to keep it going.
to keep it
Yeah.
going.
I mean, at that point, you know, you have to commit crimes to pay that much for Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? You don't make that kind of money just
No.
$24.
For the
It's
first
an hour.
15 minutes. But it's like the one guy who has Cricket Mobile gets it for free. Like, what?
So yeah, it was just a thing. I wonder, like, as he's your older brother or younger brother?
He's younger, and I actually tweeted during the middle of that, and I put, I'm covering the biggest event of my career, and I've been upstaged by my brother falling in love on an airplane.
Well,
Like,
here's one of my favorite things is if you go to Twitter and you click on the magnifying glass, it also pops up moments, right? The World Cup was below your brother's moment.
Yeah.
And you know, they're
It's
tailored
true.
to what you
Yeah.
like. And all I look at is food and soccer. Your brother had nothing to do with those two things. And he was
He
bigger.
went very quickly from lead analyst of the World Cup to plane-based
Plane-based
brother.
brother. Yeah, I did a satellite media tour.
Yeah.
And every single one was. So what about France? What about Italy? Not Italy. They weren't there.
Yeah.
Croatia. And then it was like, hey, so how's it feel being plane-based brother? Hot trending topic. Okay, great. Let's move it along, guys.
That relation, they're not together, right? They didn't.
No, it was a sad love story in the
Okay.
end. And my brother has since posted many shirtless photos on Instagram. If you want to go
Nice.
check that out. Yeah.
Cashing in those
He's a
followers,
handsome
yeah.
man. Yeah,
Yes,
he got
yes.
deserved attention.
Also, John, we got to get brothers, sisters, sibling, cousins. Get somebody on a plane.
Yeah,
floating
no,
Matt
my
Loud.
sister keeps a slightly lower profile than that. Yeah.
So what do you guys look for as far as prepping for the game on Saturday? Is there anything that you're looking forward to, or anything in particular?
Yeah,
that
because you
you're-
can't make predictions, right? You're not allowed to.
Anything you want to
We
see?
can, they're just not going to be right. So I don't think there's any point in doing that. I tend to always, when I come into these games, I try to focus a little bit on, because there is something about a final that's just a little bit different. And so what finals have these players been in? You've got a handful of Portland players that won the title 3 years ago. You've got Atlanta players who have been a part of finals and competitions in South America. And then, of course, you have in Jeff Lorenowitz and Michael Parkhurst. Lorenowitz actually has won one. Parkhurst has not. Guys that have been in multiple MLS Cups. And so trying to just sort of build that story out a little bit and knit together some of the history of the players, while at the same time understanding we have a different audience. So being able to peel back a little bit, not necessarily everyone watching has followed closely Diego Valeri's career. What's his story? Not everyone has followed as closely Brad Guzan's career. What's his story? And then, as we always do, mindfulness, there's going to be 70, however many thousand people. We need to shut up and just let that be part of the story and let that be the soundtrack to the game as well. So finding that right balance, same as we did in the World Cup final, of talking to that new audience that hasn't watched MLS throughout the season, but also just staying out of the way of the scene.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I think it was something we tried to do a lot during the World Cup. But also for me now, having seen so much of these teams over the course of the year, there's not so much you can do as far as watching tape. And it's more so setting the stage and telling the story and then just letting the story develop and get in when you can with your key points. And then other than that, like John said, just get out, let the Atlanta chance come, pay off the big moments when they come. And, if it's a game-winning goal or a pass and make sure that, the fans recognize these incredible performances and also, what a great event this is hopes to be from beginning to end.
Yeah, that's just sort of how I feel like. Just the fact that the stage in itself, I think, is going to be to me the biggest stage that MLS has ever had to showcase its game. Right?
And 2 years ago in Toronto was pretty good. If you remember that, it was going to be 36,000. It was the fact that Toronto, the city, had come alive for soccer, and it was an incredible atmosphere. And the game was an absolute dud by and large. There was one good moment in extra time in the penalty shootout. And so that's my big hope, is that the game the play lives up to the stage, so to speak.
Early goal.
The game itself really gets things going.
In the preparation for the game, I want to give you guys a gift. both of you
Ooh.
because we
This is really disconcerting, by the way.
we always
You never know what's going to happen.
on this show. I don't know if you ever heard us say that we're the gulliest soccer podcast. So being someone who is very gully is like someone who's very tough. It's like a very New York.
It's like a street thing. It's like you don't take no prisoners. You do what you do. If you have something on your mind, you say it.
So it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, it's sort
I
of
respect that about
Yeah.
New York.
exudes like toughness, right? So
Right.
I got you guys shirts.
Oh, look at that.
And which one is this? This
That's
is
the gulliest.
It says the gulliest, and it has the Cooligans logo on it, and it has
And the fruit bowl that we bought for Dax McCarty on the bottom that he never thanked us for his wedding.
for his wedding. We got him a fruit bowl. We've never met Dax, and we heard he got married after he got traded.
We
and
found his registry online, so we sent him.
You sent him a
the
fruit
cheapest
bowl.
thing.
That's
good.
fruit
It
bowl.
was one of
Yeah.
16, but we couldn't
Is this
afford
the
all of them.
medium? Is this the the extra small? Yeah.
So my hope and this,
Thank you, guys.
I don't know
This
if
is great.
I don't know if this is like bribery, but
Could be.
what you guys make jokes and you kind of include stuff in your broadcast. I don't know. Could the word gully
Try to
make
work
it
in gulliest?
into a broadcast?
I-
If
I
one
will-
player mushes another dude in the face.
I mean, if Kevin Lasagna's,
We did the
if he
lasagna
can-
puns.
if
I've
he
got
can
a good friend
overcook
of
it,
ours
we'll
that's
see.
been trying to get me to say shenanigans on air for like 3 weeks now. She's been texting me like, shenanigans, got to get it in. So I will say, running the risk that no one knows what this word means.
right.
I will be willing to accept the challenge to at least try to find some sort of a way
Okay.
without getting fired. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it,
fireable offense.
but I love having done when I
I'm
was.
gonna have to make sure I Urban Dictionary and
also-
everything
Gully
first.
is also the name of the mascot. from
Actually,
Brighton.
as we've learned time and time again, do not go to
Do
Urban
not go to
Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary at all.
However much you think you should.
Gully is also the name of the mascot for Brighton and Hove Albion. So
So
Like a goal, sure.
Right?
That's
Yeah, it's a word in the lexicon that
Yeah.
people are comfortable with.
We used to do this when I hosted a weekly timber show. Whenever we'd have players on, they would have a word the team had bet them. They had to find a way to get in. Stephen Keel once got all 7 dwarfs into a radio interview
Wow, it's
throughout
Very
the course of the
impressive.
thing
I couldn't
to
even
win
name
like
the
20
seven
bucks.
dwarfs.
So
I think at this point.
that this sort of a
Stinky,
concept is not
dirty,
foreign to me
sleepy.
in that regard.
It
Yeah.
might be fun, and it would make our fans.
Do you want goalie or do you want Dax McCarty's fruit bowl?
If you could do
that would be.
lose my mind.
I would collapse.
I might save that for a Thursday night next year. Preseason game. Yeah.
Put that in the McCarty fruit bowl. Yeah, Joseph Martinez, put that ball
I
in
know it
there.
would be amazing. But you guys are the best, man. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no,
Thank you
thanks.
for having
we,
us
we
in. We
appreciate
appreciate
it. It was a fun time.
We'll see you down there. I cannot wait, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not going to make it to the game, watch it on TV. You get a chance to listen to these two beautiful voices.
On mute.
Yeah. What time?
It's at 8
7:30 Eastern.
7:30 p.m. Kickoff, I think, is 8:08.
Kickoff is when we say it is.
Yeah.
Tune in at
American fans are very
7:30
upset about
Eastern.
It is actually true to an extent. Yeah.
Steve Goff and Andy Doss can calm down. 7:30 Eastern. We've got a wonderful pregame. We've got Alexi. We've got Rob. We've got Moe Du. We've got all sorts of bells and whistles. Tons of player interviews. Katie with them and her pregnant belly. It'll be good times.
Awesome.
All right.
So, guys, we normally, I don't think you've done the show when we've done the outro. I don't think this has happened. You did it last
Yes,
time.
I did.
Yeah.
But you haven't.
I have
so,
Stu, you've not been a part
First
of the
time
yell.
outro. Ooh.
This is my 3rd appearance. I don't know that.
It's my 2nd of the year, I think.
Yes.
Oh,
So
no, 3rd.
whenever we end the show, we just like yell Cooligans. It'll all make sense.
You'll know exactly when to do
Just
it.
follow Strong's lead.
Yeah.
So for Stu Holden and John Strong, my name is Christian Polanco.
And my name is Alexis Guerreros.
And together, what are we?
the Cooligans!
Yes.
What's up? It's the world champion, Judah Friedlander, and you're watching the Cooligans. Why? Because you're cool. This is what winners look like right here, man.
I mean, you're looking at us.
Right now with my legs, I just juggled the ball 80,000 times.
You missed it.
Yeah.
He's been playing keepy uppy since I met him.
Yep, look faster, guys.
Go Team USA.